Greetings. Welcome to EDTV News Channel, the People's Channel. In this report, we'll talk about Dave Alphonsus Wilson, otherwise known as Brown Man, who engaged the police in a 4-hour shootout on Tuesday in Mandeville, Manchester. He was also deported from Canada at least 2 separate occasions. Now we have Brown Man neighbor come out and says he was a dangerous and vile neighbor and she was in fear of her life. Stay tuned for the full report. Blessings to all subscribers and viewers. If you're here for the first time, you can support the channel by like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Now, people, before we get into the neighbor story, we'll talk about Brown Man criminal history in Canada. Dave Alphonsus Wilson, otherwise known as Brown Man, the man who engaged the police in a 4-hour shootout on Tuesday in Mandeville, Manchester, was deported from Canada at least 2 separate occasions. The 54-year-old unemployed man of Caledonia Road was fatally shot after he refused to surrender. He is suspected of taking out 31-year-old Adrian Bernard of Buena Vista, Manchester, following a dispute over the cost of a tray of eggs. Wilson's criminal record in Canada includes conviction for unarmed robberies in the 90s. Toronto detective Sergeant Wilf Townley of the Hold Up Squad, speaking at a press conference in February 2003, described Wilson and his accomplice as the Yo-Yo Bandits, noting that they were in and out of Canada more than once after being deported. The police said Wilson and his accomplice, who had been armed with a loaded 9mm handgun and a fully loaded .223 caliber assault rifle, surrendered to the police after being holed up in a Northwest End video store with several hostages. The men, who wore bulletproof vests, overpowered guards in an unarmored truck, making a cash delivered to a bank. Canadian police said when their getaway car failed to start, they fled on foot to the video store. Now, people, Brown Man is a dangerous and vile criminal. Now we'll get into the neighbor, which is a woman, who said it was a nightmare and she was in fear of her life. Now, people, I want to listen to this carefully. A woman who claimed she turned down relationship advances from the deceased murder suspect Dave Wilson, otherwise known as Brown Man, said he became a bad neighbor when she rejected him and started dumping garbage in her yard and even poisoning her dog. In recalling her nightmare with Wilson, 54, who engaged the security force in a 4-hour standoff at a Caledonia Road apartment on Tuesday, the woman, who requested anonymity, said she knew him for 3 years as a reserved person, but things take a turn a year ago when he started displaying signs of aggression. My first interaction with him was about 4 years ago. It was just in passing and say hi or bye, she said on Wednesday, a day after bullets disturbed the quiet mixed commercial and residential section of Lower Caledonia Road. She said Wilson expressed his interest in her a year ago at a nearby plaza, but when she turned him down, their interactions became bitter, even over the use of garbage skip. Last year, I went up there, the plaza, to fix something with my boyfriend. And Brown Man came up to me. Basically, him did a look me. I laughed it off. The first disagreement we had was over that garbage skip over there, she pointed out. For years, I have been dumping my 1 or 2 garbage bags over there in the skip, she added. However, the woman said she was startled to wake up to seeing garbage thrown across her yard, and the culprit wasn't her dogs, as a closed-circuit television CCTV captured Brown Man emptying solid waste there. Mind you, I have been dumping garbage there for years. Last year, he had an issue. My boyfriend put the garbage out like 2 a.m. Brown man waited, looked out the window, took out the garbage, came onto the property, burst open the garbage, and spread it all over the yard. I have it on video, she said. After that, he got my number and called at like 3 a.m., cursing expletives and threatening me. This was right after my boyfriend moved in with me. Dave started behaving like this, the woman added, suggesting jealousy. Because we didn't want any argument, we decided to go to the dump to dispose our solid waste, and that was it. The phone call happened in May, she explained. Thinking that was the end of the bitterness, the woman was alarmed when things escalated 3 weeks ago when her dog Mix was poisoned after she and her partner went out with friends. 10 minutes after we left home, the camera picked up Brown man walking in the yard with something in his hand and he threw it on the balcony. However, I did not notice it until the following morning, she said. When we came in, we saw one of the dogs behaving funny. We called an emergency vet. They tried to treat her and she ended up passing away. That is when I checked the camera and I noticed it, she added. The woman said she reported the matter to the police but claimed she was given the runaround by cops even after Wilson, Brown man, reportedly admitted that he fed the dog. Now people, the story getting more interested. They only listened to what I had to say, didn't write anything, and then they took his statement that he felt bad for the dog. He felt that they needed to be fed because they were barking, she said. I asked them if they were going to charge him for trespassing on my property because he came there without my permission. They were trying to shut me down and forcing me to take out a civil lawsuit. Eventually, we got a report done when we complained to a higher ranking officer, and at that point, they, the police, came and took a report, she added. The woman said days later she saw signs that Wilson wasn't well. I went back to the police station and I said, I am in fear of my life. I feel like this man is going to hurt me and probably not even me, because if he's going to hurt an animal that didn't do anything to him, he's going to hurt somebody. They, the police, laughed it off and said, no, it's fine, the woman claimed. We were in the process of bringing a case when all of this shooting happened, she added. The woman and her partner explained that following an autopsy on her pet, a huge amount of poison was found in the dog's system. Her dog brain, she said, her pancreas and her stomach was swollen. They said it was like a toxin. It wasn't like a regular rat poison, the couple said. We went to the police to tell them the outcome to get some action, hoping they would check his premises or his car for the toxin. If they had checked, they probably would have found the guns, the woman said. She also claimed that Wilson, Brown man, threatened her in the presence of the police. Wanna hear that, people? He said, you're PUSSY. You call police on me. Watch me and you. I said to the police, didn't you hear him? And they were like, no. Wilson met his demise on Tuesday during a tense 4-hour standoff at his apartment. The couple witnessed part of the incident. No, people, this woman dodged a bullet on her boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? No, all of these police people, they should be investigated. You know what I'm saying? Because if they did charge or search Brown man, apartment, they would have found something, people. You know what I'm saying? And Adrian would be alive today. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see all the police them working at Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? As long as we have this type of police in Jamaica, things now gonna get better, people. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? And as I said before, she dodged a bullet. If this man can do that to a dog who is innocent, the dog not do him nothing, and him take out the dog that way, people, trust me, this guy is vile. You know what I'm saying, people? And that's why the police them take him out. You know what I'm saying? So some of the people them were out there. When we hear I praise this guy and I talk about him as a hero. You know what I'm saying? We want to know what we not say. We want to hear this type of story. You know what I'm saying, people? Trust me. You know what I mean? Some of these police, for being investigated and removed from the JCF. Tell me in the comment section what you think. One aim, one God, one destiny. Walk good, talk good, live good. Blessings.